So just got back from the dealership and I had to remove that dent that was here. The dent that I pushed in when I was trying to push the car off the curb and just do a walk around. My car is super dirty. And I also just did my state inspection sticker. And I wanted them to fix the leaking light, right? The leaking headlight washer jet was leaking washer fluid. So about the issue was after every 2 or 3 days I would have to refill my washer tank. Now the problem with that, it was fine. It was only $1 to refill. The fluid I get is $1 a gallon or something and refill that. But the problem I was anticipating dealing with a lifetime doing a long history of leaks with BMW is that if this is leaking through the car, eventually it's going to affect the fog lights and all the things in the car, especially when the temperature dips. So I kind of went through winter with it. The winter in New York was really mild, so it wasn't an issue, but I anticipated in this, if this was leaking here, gallon of washer fluid every couple of days, then it would most likely affect electronics down there, and there's a lot of stuff down there. And I also realized a lot of important stuff is actually inside the at the bottom of the engine bay, like the water pump thermostat and the oil pump is all very deep in there. So also had a complimentary inspection that I got in the email from BMW that I use. So I told them, look over my engine, look over everything in the car. Specifically, my battery was draining, so I wanted them to look at the battery, but I didn't mention that. I just figured that's something they would check, the voltage. They didn't check that, of course. I even complained, and the guy goes, oh, they don't look at batteries or electronic components. But it's a full vehicle inspection. I don't know. I don't know why they don't do that. So anyway, they found this oil saturation right there. I don't know if you could see with the sun. And basically the filter, this is the oil housing filter for the N55 engine. And I know my engine is really dirty. This engine bay gets super dirty. It's not even me, it's just the way the car is designed. Because I complained about it online, and a lot of people say that's how the engine is on the N55. It gets dirty real quick. It's not something that stays fresh. Like my M54, my 330i that I used to have, it was always clean. I never really, probably clean the engine bay once a year, and I drove that car way more than I'm driving this one right now. So the oil filter housing has a leak on that gasket right there, and you can see the saturation up and down there. And I think some of the oil that's leaking there is leaked onto some of the, it looks like the coolant hoses there that's going in and out of the engine block. And there's some saturation there. I'm actually gonna see if I can pop this off so you guys can see the engine a little bit better. And this is an ugly looking engine actually. When you pop off this plastic shielding, it's a really ugly looking engine. So that's the N55 in all its naked glory. So that's the N55 engine. What is it? Twin power turbo. 302 horsepower, 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds, maybe less. And even less than that if you tune it out to go like faster. So this is the engine, this is the top of it, and it's really, even inside you can see it's really dirty in there. I don't know how dirt gets in there when it's covered with that. And the reason I lift that up, it looks like the gasket here is also leaking an engine housing because it's covered with like a black sticky film right there by the bolts. So I'm assuming the car only has 49,000 miles. I'm surprised that stuff like that is leaking already. My previous car, the 330i, I think I went 80,000 miles before I had leaks like this. 90,000 miles before the oil filter housing on that was leaking on my old car. But here, 49,000 miles, I drive this car maybe 500 miles a month in the year I've had it. And this wasn't leaking when I bought it, but now it is. So it's weird that it's a premature leak. But anyway, the point of this video is BMW wanted $1,300. Well, the dealership called me back and the service person told me, oh, by the way, Mr. Johnson, your filter housing gaskets needs to be replaced. The labor and parts will be $1,303.09. I was like, I was confused at first. I actually had to sit down when I got the call, and I was asking, was it the whole unit that needed to be replaced or just the little rubber gaskets, which the parts for the rubber gaskets that you would replace in this is about $15 for all 3 of them. Maybe less if you buy them online. But so I asked him, like, why is the labor almost $1,300 because the parts are like less than $10 to $15 even at the dealership. So I'm paying all that money, basically labor. And the guy told me, he goes, oh, they have to disassemble a whole engine to get to that. But it makes no sense because it's right there, and the bolts to remove this part, it's like a cap. So you unbolt this, unbolt that one. That's a reverse bolt, so you have to get it from the back. And another bolt back there, and then you remove the hoses, drain the coolant, possibly drain the oil if you want to do that. There's different levels of doing this, but it's right there. So I don't know what he meant about disassembling engine block to get to that, and that's why it's requiring $1,300 in labor costs. So I'll probably do it myself when the weather gets warmer, or I'm gonna take it to a shop in New Jersey, a good shop where it gets a lot of good reviews. So I might have that guy do it. And most shops will do this for about $300 to $400 depending on what if you want to drain the coolant as well, or do an oil change at the same time, because apparently everything that goes through this housing is the coolant as well as your engine oil. So most likely when you replace these gaskets, you do have the option of doing the coolant flush and the oil change at the same time. So just my so they actually billed me for that, and you know, deleted it after I declined, because there's no one paying $1,300 for a gasket that's not even under the engine or inside the engine. It's right, I mean, you open the hood, it's the first thing you see in the car. It's like right there. And to even like count that as part of their inspection, that's something I could see and anyone could see. So don't get duped by the dealership thinking it's something fancy you have to replace. It's a rubber seal, you know, and it's not that hard to do. The only thing is you would have to drain the coolant and the oil. I mean, that would add to the labor time, but it's not a $1,300 job. I'm not sure why BMW of Westchester would charge me or bill me for that. And that's it. That's everything checked out, I guess. I don't even know what they looked at. Since they didn't look at the battery, I can't even count that as a car inspection. But overall, I'm happy with the car. It's been coming up to a year I've had it. Other than a really dirty engine bay that gets and stays dirty, you can't really clean this. So I'm gonna be doing that. I might do a video on how to change this on the N55. There's a lot of information on N50 for the previous version of the 335 engine for the E90 series, E91, E92, E93. But not much has been said for the N55 for doing the I guess maintenance on the oil filter housing and such. But everything else checked out. I'm glad I got that leak fixed. They only charged me $250 for that, including the parts and the labor. So it's what it is, you know. But that's it, guys. See you guys later. Bye.